Create Peace at Home is a show dedicated to the voices of social justice movements.
We bring to you guests who are engaged in making a difference in the lives of those who are forgotten.
We are committed to finding solutions which make people safe and communities thrive.
We believe that people have powerful stories about personal transformation.
When shared, these stories begin a process of healing.
Through these stories, we connect different issues which speak to the equity for everyone.
I'm Buna Chima, your host. Welcome to Create Peace at Home. Let me introduce my guests to you. Sitting to my left is Amir Soltani, who is doing a documentary in West Oakland about recycling. And with us in the studio is also Pastor Landon Goodwin. Welcome to both of you.
So I went down, and so it's like whether you look at the world through the window or you open the door and you go out. So I think that was the big moment for me. Went out, met Jefferson, and helped him out a little bit with the bottles and cans, but I was curious about who he was and what he was doing. And he was a longshoreman who'd worked at the port, and this was his way of supplementing his income. He'd had a heart attack and all of this. And so I walked with Jefferson down Magnolia Row into Alliance Metals, this recycling center. And the doors open, and you just go in and you just go, my God, is this America? And not necessarily in a bad sense. Mm-hmm. It was like a Fellini set. It was improbable. Everything about that place was just improbable. By any measure, half the people in Alliance Metals should have been dead. Medically dead, legally dead, criminally dead, emotionally. But there was life. It was like the most lively, bustling, energetic, creative place you could imagine.
Brought something to the community that eased the pain of a lot of people that were living in that part of West Oakland?
I agree with that because there were ladies who were prostituting and they stopped prostituting and just started recycling. There was people who were stealing and robbing and doing all kinds of things, and they stopped doing it because they could recycle. There was even people who were selling drugs who quit selling drugs because now they could recycle. They got them a truck and started recycling and went rather legit.
If it became illegal to sit down on the sidewalk during the daytime, where would homeless people go? Where would people have that they could go to?
Well, seeing how, and I've read the paperwork and the documentation on what they want it to say. They want it to be illegal to sit down in any commercial zone in the Berkeley area, which means that the homeless people are now going to have to be forced to hang out in your neighborhoods, in your city parks, and around basically where you live. Because if we can't be in a commercial zone, then we have to be in residential zones, because there's nowhere near enough benches for all of the homeless people and all of the housed people to possibly share.
To approach them, we're going to need a great deal more skill and compassion, and let them know that we really care about them, for them to even believe that the service we're going to send them to is going to help them. So that trust has never been built between the young folks that are on the streets and at least the political spectrum of this town, because there hasn't been a conversation, like you said. Nobody asks them what they need. Yeah. And I think we need to do that.
I don't think that there's been any convincing evidence that there's any significant group of homeless people who are service resistant. I mean, whatever that's supposed to mean. The issue is that we clearly don't have enough services. I mean, one really sad irony is that the youth shelter won't open until the month of the election. And that's so depressing. But the other side of it is that what services exist need to be presented in an appropriate manner, and there needs to be peer outreach. I mean,
yes, there have to be young people on the street working with young people. What do you see as the key pieces of work that RAP is doing with its coalition partners?
Certainly the artwork is a major, and that I think ties into the messaging.
Yeah,
and
I thought it was very smart when the decision was made to add the art to the reports.
Yeah.
I thought it might be interesting to bring them up and maybe go through a couple of them.
Absolutely.
And then also continue to talk about the importance of art in social justice and in organizing.
A particular piece was done by a gentleman named Ed Gould. And so we gave him the data that we had collected, and we gave him the chart, and we said, make this chart, if you would, make this into something that somebody might actually put on their wall. Because the information's all there. But people aren't going to hang a chart on their freaking wall.
Yeah,
you know, it's like they're just not going to do it. Everybody will think they're a nerd, and they'll walk away from it.
Five, 4, 3. Okay, hold on.
Okay, hold on. I'm good. Let's try without, because I got distracted. Because I couldn't see your hand, and then I was like, is he at 3 or 4? And when Ethel was talking about financial literacy, I really believe that one of the literacy pieces that we're missing is that we don't understand the state budget. That every year it sort of, shows up and it falls on our heads, and then we have to sort of, try to see if there's any light in it. And this has been going on for a while.
There's a big target on the state budget, and I think you're right, Boona, in saying that our communities don't fully understand how the state budget affects our lives, be it affordable housing or be it access to food and healthcare and things like that, or and education and all of the infrastructure that our communities need to succeed. And I certainly don't think that we as a community understand how we got to where we're at.
So the position of the so-called welfare recipient, Mr. Reagan and a whole host of theoreticians really demonized and lied about the fact that if you were poor, I mean, they were able to advance a lot of very hateful ideology, that if you were poor in this country, you were to blame for your own situation. And especially if you were a single mom with children, you were some, bum, good for nothing. But a part of the way to sell this idea that there were deserving and undeserving poor, that's when that language began to develop. Really what we were seeing is this restructuring of the economic system from one that was really driven by industry to one that's really being driven by technology.
I went through a series of traumatic experience, the loss of a parent, the loss of my children, and other things that happened. Someone had told me that BOSS existed. I didn't know it even existed. When I came to BOSS, I was surprised at the way the program actually nurtures you in ways that you wouldn't expect. As a homeless person, I experienced a real radical change in the way people treat you. When I was a working member of the community, everyone seemed to value what I had to say. When I became homeless, I became useless, devalued.
But it took me a little while to realize that having a spiritual path and having a spiritual focus, irregardless of which book or which form of spirituality that we each choose as individuals, but that it's a core piece of our existence. Monique, you want to share something?
I sit in a very interesting seat, and I wear a few different hats in that I am a consumer, one with lived experience with mental health myself. I'm a family member, and then I am also a spiritual leader. And so I know what it's like to be going through that difficult time and to have things being reinforced to you that are a product of your thoughts and so on, and trauma, and then go to a community and have that experience that's not so much of a great one. And so this training that I developed that you all took part in was really designed to give spiritual leaders and faith leaders, whether they're pastors, imams, deacons, priests, priestesses, anything, to anyone who's a community identified leader, sort of a guide to how to support individuals through their process. and their recovery journey. I think that at the core of all of us, the core of the mental health system, the core of spirituality and faith leaders, is really to see the best in each person and see each person reach their full potential and their great wellness. And
Thank you very much, both of you. I love you. You know that. And I'm not going to forget this interview ever.
either.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to BTV or BCM or Channel 28. Studio with me today is Paul Bowden, the Executive Director of Western Region. Is it regional or region?
Regional.
Regional.
We can change it if you want.
It's okay. I get it. Western